Welcome back to the pod.
This is season 2, episode 1.
Constructivism and Sociocultural theory.
Yeah.
Yay!
Good morning and welcome to episode 1 of season 2 of our math podcast for the Cool Girl Guild.
Yay!
Today we are going to be discussing Constructivism, Sociocultural learning theory, and applications to math. So I just wanted to introduce it by saying how children learn math or really any other subject. Constructivism and sociocultural learning theory are two really big aspects that we'll be touching on. And so we'll start with constructivism. And I had a couple notes that I wanted to share. One is that children aren't blank slates when they come into your classroom. They have their own background knowledge and possible either negative or positive preconceptions on how they learn math. Specifically for this podcast, it could be really any other subject. But so I think, I don't know, kind of going off of that point, you never really know how children perceive math until you really see them and understand how they learn and what their thoughts on it are.
Yeah. Constructivism is really about how students make their own meaningful connections of material you give them, and you're more of like a facilitator of that. Like, it's on them to build their own schema, their own background knowledge, and as Lilia so eloquently put, that you don't know what the students are going to be coming in with, you know. Like, we've talked a lot about how some students are like, well, my dad's bad at math, so I'm bad at math, or like, whatever. So you have to make sure that you're giving students every possible opportunity and all of the good stuff, the good tools to create their own association with the material that you're presenting to them.
And also, I just feel like with constructivism, like, I feel like it changes throughout the year, just because obviously in the beginning of the year it's more like, oh, like, what are they thinking, you know, because, like, you're just getting to know your students, right? Mm-hmm. But then, like, getting into, like, the middle of the year, I feel like you're kind of getting, like, used to them, and you're like, okay, like, now I know what can help them, what kind of, like, gets them going, and what gets them thinking, if that makes sense. And then, like, at the end of the year, you're like, okay, like, they accomplished this is what they would, like, need to do next year, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And also that, like, kids, at the same time, when they come in, I feel like they're also very anxious in the beginning of the year, because they're just like, oh, like, this is how I learned, this is what I did, or they don't feel very good about themselves, they're very nervous. So, like, in the beginning of the year, I feel like teachers have to, like, keep in mind, like, oh, they're probably not going to do their best just because they're not, it's just the beginning of the year, if that makes sense, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. No, you can finish. Going back to what Kira was saying, like, that it's the student's responsibility to, like, actually try to, like, learn. I think it's the teacher's responsibility, too, to, like, build on their, on their knowledge. So, like, it's, like, a multi thing. Like, the students and the teachers, like, they both have to be, like, willing to try to kind of get out of their comfort zone and, like, try to, like, adapt to their all, like, pre-existing knowledge.
Yeah, like, it's the teacher's job to be prioritizing, like, hands-on learning experiences that are based on, they're inquiry-based, like we talked about in class.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're the facilitators of the learning. They're the ones that are guiding the students through these activities. So if the students aren't being given the proper tools or the proper knowledge or actually, like, high cognitive levels of thinking tasks, they're not going to be able to construct their knowledge. So it's like you're both the teacher and the students are major players in sticking to this theory.
And I feel like teachers have to provide, like, lots of opportunities for students to, like, show their learning and blah 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 blah.
Because I also have written down that no one person has the exact same understanding of any idea. So it's a teacher's job to kind of construct new ideas and new knowledge by kind of showing them all different ways to do things, how it can fit for different learners and things like that.
And also, like, application of the theory is important because there's, like, so many different ways that you can engage students in higher level thinking so that they can actually make the meaningful connections, like giving them access to physical objects so they have sort of something tangible that they can connect to the information, having them work in groups so they can engage in discussion facilitated by you or facilitated by like just the manner of the lesson. So they can like talk to each other and like gain other perspectives of things and like build on, activating their prior knowledge and activating like their engagement. I don't mean to say activating, but like making sure they're engaged. Making sure the stuff that you're teaching is meaningful, that it's within a meaningful context, and also giving opportunities for students to reflect on what they've learned, because I feel like that it talks about that a bit in our like practicum textbook, the cultural responsive teaching, where like it's important for students to be able to like go through and like remember what they learned and like reflect on it and like what they gained from that, because otherwise they're not going to retain.
I feel like that really ties into the social cultural learning too, like the interacting with other people, getting like other people with other cultures' points of view. Like I feel like the actual like, because I have this quote here and it says that, hold on 1 second. Sorry, we can cut this part out. Okay, learning is based on interacting with other people, and that quote is by Lev Vygotsky. Thank you, Vygotsky. And I think that's really true, because like especially with people that don't really learn from just like seeing it and like, oh, okay, I know now. Like really like talking about it with other people, learning different points of views. Yeah. You know.
And for me, just because I have 2 different cultures, and as a kid, like once I got into the classroom, I felt kind of nervous just because I didn't think that if I can't communicate with people and I feel like I don't feel that safe with them, then it's going to be hard for me to like learn and be able to build off ideas with those kind of people, just because like I know that because I did go to like on Sundays I did go to a school for like my religion and stuff like that, and everybody had the same exact culture as me, and it was so fun for me. I interacted, I got engaged, I did all of these stuff, and it was like very, very simple for me and easy. That obviously going back to like school with like an American culture, not like a very diverse, because I was in like a diverse school, it was so difficult for me to like do problem skills and like have a good relationship with my teacher, just because I also felt like my teachers didn't like, you know, they saw me as like, oh, like she's different, if that made sense, and I always felt different. So I felt like that always stopped me because I felt anxious, and I felt like my ideas would be very, very bad compared to everyone. So I thought that they were smarter than me and stuff like that. And I feel like that also like probably stopped me from like going to constructivism back again, like stopped me from like making my own ideas.
I think like for us, like obviously as we go into like being teachers and stuff, that's an important thing to keep in mind. Like I don't, like even for students themselves, like when they're grouped, like obviously every classroom is diverse in their own ways, like is to just kind of like expose them to like the cultures of every kid in the room around them, and just get used to that and have it be like a comfortable, safe place for all of them, just as it's, I don't know, so it's a safe learning environment for everyone. And like that's that's like the biggest aspect of social cultural learning, is that the role of social interaction and cultural context is really important in the development of cognition, and learning is super dynamic. There's like collaborative learning, like making sure that they're engaging in problem solving skills, and like the information is being scaffolded, and that like a lot of the stuff that we're learning like in these theories and like that we're talking about, these theories tie into the MTPs, because I was really worried that like we would have a hard time tying all of this into the MTPs, but then like reading through I realized like wow, like a lot of this stuff, a lot of these theories are ingrained in these teaching practices,
like small pieces of those stuff, like what we just talked about, is exactly in all of them.
It really incorporates into like every single lesson that we teach, like every MTP. So stay tuned for our following episodes to hear more about each of these MTPs that we are going to touch on in each different episode. Exciting. And keep an eye out if we talk about constructivism or sociocultural learning theory in each of those. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Thanks for listening. Thank you. Bye. Our credits for this episode come from week 1 slide.